Okay, so we have QLAB in the same style as iTunes. This is a really good tutorial for if you're trying to create pre-show, intermission, or post-show music and have the ability to control when that starts and when that stops, in addition to the volume levels of each of those songs that you would put into that playlist. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started right here with introducing some of these portions of the screen. Right here you have your go button. This is what activates each cue. In QLAB, the space bar is also a button that is default assigned to make this go button click. So if you click that, whatever your action is that you've set up in here, it will go ahead and activate. This is your navigator window, and down here is your inspector, and you have some basic controls along the top. The very first thing you want to do in any QLAB project is make sure that you have your audio patched. So I'm going to go ahead and patch our audio here. Soundflower, this is the audio driver that I have set up to record audio into my video capture program. So for most people, though, you would be setting your patch to a built-in output. For now, we'll stick to patch 1. That's nice and simple. And this would play through any computer speakers that you would have hooked up. But I'm going to go ahead and use my Soundflower so that you can hear the music without any distortion and record it straight into the video. You can also set some volume limits here, and if for some reason you know all your music was blaringly loud, you can set a default for the import of what it would be. If, for instance, you wanted half the volume, you could put in -6, which would have the volume of every song you imported. And there's more complicated controls down here, which I won't get to in this tutorial. But that basically sets it up so that we can play our music. So again, most of you will probably be going ahead and setting it to a built-in output. And this is just for the sake of this video to use Soundflower. Now I'm going to double click on audio, which will create a blank audio cue. And what this is like an envelope. So if you think of envelopes as sending things from point A to point B, without actually being the information itself, that's exactly what this is. This is a blank cue with an address that you will assign under target that will take your file, your sound file, which you can think of as point A, and deliver it to your speakers, which you could think of as point B. So we just use preferences to set what point B was, and we're going to go ahead and set point A by dragging an audio file. And following the direction here, it says this cue does not have a valid audio file, so we're going to fix that. Right here I have some Warcraft Orcs and Humans music that I would hope is at this point in public domain. Now, look what happens when I drag this over. It creates a blue box. And that blue box is, well, I'll just go ahead and release this here. And you'll see it creates a new cue. And that's what that means. It's going to go ahead and set all the settings for your envelope and your content all at once, so your target's already assigned. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command-Delete for the sake of this demonstration and show you the long way around. As you may have guessed by now, that's the easiest and quickest way to import an audio file. It's just a quick drag and drop. But I'm going to go ahead and show you, when you put it over top, it actually highlights. And if I drag and drop that in, it's going to go ahead and fill that for me. So the thing I just like to do is keep my design clean. You can go ahead and set a cue number or letter at this point. I won't set anything for the opening. Now you notice when I deselect this, all these settings that were down here go away. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that again. This is a very important section to be aware of, your inspector window. It allows you to control the settings of what you're actually playing. We don't want it to loop, so we won't worry about any of this here. But you can also see the output patch, number 1. We can set that as what we set number 1, Soundflower. And again, another place for you to control the level individually for this track on the master. So if I knew that I wanted that to go down 2 decibels, which is just a little bump in volume, I can set that there. And we don't have to really worry about trim settings for this tutorial. Now this is really important. Right here, we want this to be an auto-follow cue. What that means is that we're going to go ahead, and if you notice when I set that, I'm going to go ahead and unset it. Back to do not continue. Look at this post wait time. And you can use this area here, or you can click once and then twice over here to do the same thing. Your post wait time is set to your action time. And that basically is a timer that will start at the same time as your action time. Your action is just like when you look in iTunes and you see how long a file will play for. This is the duration of this song. So we have a timer that is automatically set to the same duration that will go ahead and start the next cue, whatever that may be. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the next song in this cycle here and just drop it straight in there. Now what we're going to have when I play this song here is an autofollow that will go straight into the next song. And let's go ahead, set our level, everything's okay, and I'm going to go ahead and hit go. So we have the music playing through at this time for 43 seconds. You'll see it gives you a nice little green bar here that tracks your time. And we're almost there. As that track fades out, you'll notice this timer is going to end, and automatically we start the next song. I didn't have to click a single thing. So just like iTunes, it continues on to the next song. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop all now, and we're going to go ahead and build ourselves our playlist. So let's say these are all the songs that we want to go ahead and use today. Now it's very important, at least working as a designer, that people are able to interpret what it is that you have built in case you're not the person that's going to be operating the file. So there's this nice thing called groups. So I'll double click there. I'm going to go ahead and select all these guys. I'm going to drag and drop them into the group. Again, the same method of waiting for that blue highlight to show up. And I can name this group whatever I want. So I'm going to say pre-show music. And I'm going to make that QA. And what's nice is you'll see this little arrow over here. That's a follow. Auto continue. Now I could make that an auto follow, but I won't. Auto continue basically makes these two items here the same queue. So when I fire QA, it will automatically fire the opening MP3. So it basically makes opening the very top. And it's like a non-existent folder for all intents and purposes, but it allows you to clean up your design a little bit, which is very nice. And so we're going to go ahead and set all these to auto follows. Except for this very last one. And this is very important because it's very nice when programming to make everything sequential so that you don't have to navigate within and press the arrow buttons to navigate to your next point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fade and bring it down to the bottom here. Now you'll notice that it doesn't like to come out of the window. See this little blue dot right where it is? You have to move that blue dot to the left in order to get it to be out of the folder. That was a tricky little thing to learn first time I used this program. So I'm going to make this A2. This is a fade. You'll notice we still have a red X friend back here, and it's telling us that this queue does not have a target queue. So we're going to go ahead, we could take any of these individual songs, but that wouldn't do what we want. We're going to take this whole folder, and we're going to make this a fade for this whole folder. And we can go into our fade settings. You'll notice we still have our red X, so there's still something wrong. No fade levels have been activated. So it's really nice. If you just hold your mouse right over the top, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do at any point to get things to work. This is your curve shape and settings. This is if we were making a fade up. This is if we're making a fade out. Since we're making a fade out, I won't explain why right now, but logarithmic curve is the smoothest way to go about that. And we have the option to stop target when done. Very important. We don't want this music to keep playing as we move on with whatever else you would be putting after your pre-show music. You can have this unchecked if you feel like fading the music back up at a certain point. Absolute and relative is also something we can get into later. Now, still, red X. Oh no, what's the matter? We have to initiate our volume that we want it to fade to. This determines, based on the fact that it's at 0 decibels right now, all this music is at 0, or -2 in the case of our first song there. And you could go ahead and have it at -59.3, that's more than adequate, or just to be safe, you can click that and drag it down to -infinity, which will be a complete fade out. And so that's our pre-show music. I always like to label these nice and clear. Fade out, pre-show music. There we go. And that should be all set. Our red X went away. I'm going to make this we can change our duration right here. Right now it's a 5-second fade. I'm going to go ahead and make that a 10. You can also change that duration in your curve shapes and settings. Triggers we won't worry about. Info we have a do not continue. Everything is armed. Now I'm going to go ahead, close our folder, and we're going to go ahead and play the music. So I'm just going to hit go here. Now you notice something happened there. When I clicked go, it actually took about 2 seconds for that to start. And this is exactly why we have the load command. Now I can press L, or I can click load at the very beginning of this. This is very important for timed cues, especially in theatrical productions or shows where sound needs to occur right on the cue. So our pre-show music, you'll notice, has loaded all the way through every single time it has said auto follow. And it did not load our fade out because I don't want that to automatically happen. If we went ahead and had a follow there, our music would start and fade out over 10 seconds immediately. We wouldn't have anything playing. So we have A and A2. And you'll notice the blue cursor went automatically to A2, which is also very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and click go on our pre-show music. And you'll notice that it automatically jumped and loaded to fade out pre-show music. That's where it gets kind of tricky, getting these cursors to follow the way you want them to, but it's also very nice for anyone operating the program. So I'm going to go ahead and click go one more time, and you'll see a 10-second timer count down. And you can hear that music fading out nice and quiet. And then, since we stopped target when done, all those plays go away. I'm going to demonstrate one more time with this folder open. Let's say for some reason we need to start in the middle. All you have to do is click once there, and use your arrows to change which song we're going to start with, and you click go. And it's very nice in loading everything all the way for us and jumping straight to fade out. So without pressing anything, all I have to do is press go again. You can see all these timers going about their normal business. And this fade out will override this whole folder, and all of our cues go away, and our CPU is not using any more power. So I'm going to leave it on this for a second in case you need to analyze and use this for any custom project that you're doing. You can pause it on this screen and match all these settings here. I guess the fade would probably be the most complicated one. Making sure that your curve shape and settings are set and that your levels are also set and activated. Deactivated, activated. And this is Generic Labs with our first tutorial on making QLAB operate a playlist for pre-show, intermission, or post-show music. Thank you very much.